That's right, Don Johnson.
Okay. Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hello, David. Back in the 90s when I used to cover the Calgary Flames, every New Year's Montreal would come into Calgary, and it was a big event. And everybody in the rink and all the broadcasters wore suits. It was a really great affair, and the Habs in town just added class to it, and so I thought I'd throw a jacket on tonight just to add some class to the podcast.
Yeah, you got that Miami Vice look going on, Kurt. I like it. I like it.
It's Don Johnson, except it's only the jacket and nothing else. Yeah.
I was heavily Miami Vice influenced in the 80s in my own dress code.
You had the
I
boat
spent
shoes?
too much money on Italian suits at that time.
I had a pair of boat shoes.
I've had those too.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. We all wanted to be Maurice Richard when we were kids and Don Johnson in our 20s.
just a
All
little
right.
bit of gray.
Geez, I'm just reading again Scotty Bowman's Ken Dryden's great book on Scotty Bowman. Does he ever describe Maurice Richard well?
Yeah.
He wasn't a big guy. He was only like I was
Mm.
looking hockey deep 5'10", 185.
Really,
But
hey,
he
because
played like a giant,
oh
like
yeah.
going to the net.
Like I met the Rocket once, but I was a kid. So to me, he was just huge. And he had those eyes. When he looked at you, his eyes, it's like flames danced in his eyes. As a little kid, I could barely speak. I was just smitten, like, wow, it's the Rocket. So
Uh,
I met the Rocket and the Pocket Rocket in the same day. How's that for
Holy
a
moly, what
good
a
Friday
day.
night for a kid from Saskatchewan, eh? Yeah.
Kurt, the Oilers get absolutely smoked tonight. I think it's fair, fair to say.
They did, but
In
there's
a
a few
weird
stories
way, in a
within the
weird way.
story, right?
In a weird way, and we'll get into it. But I'll
Yeah.
just give the grade A shots because they
Mm.
kind of sum it up. The Oilers had 26 grade A shots, Kurt. That's enough for 6 or 7 goals. They had two.
Mm.
Boston had 10 grade A shots, which is like, let's say, 2 or 3 goals tops. The five alarm shot subset 13 for the Oilers, 4 for Boston. So goaltending was the story tonight. Let's get right at it, Kurt, and we'll talk in the end about the Olympics, like Olympic team selections, which aren't done yet. Sweden hasn't picked its team yet, have they?
Not that I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'll just Google it to make sure. Because I want to see I hope back home doesn't get picked, so he can get some rest time. Okay,
I hope he does for his sake, but I know what you mean.
Kurt, I'm a selfish Oiler fan when it comes to Team Sweden. I don't. All right, Kurt, your good thing.
My good thing is Jeremy Swayman. There's no rule that in our good thing, bad thing, we have to pick Oilers.
There is no rule. There's no
And
rule.
and if I didn't see the Stars tonight, but if Jeremy Swayman wasn't the number one star, something is seriously wrong with whoever picked the Stars because he was the best player on the ice for either team.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, 6-2 made it look like a blowout, and in the end, that's what it was. But that wasn't what this game was. The Oilers had lots of chances, particularly their first line, which was just on fire. The only thing better than the Oilers' first line was the Boston goaltender, who stopped one grade A chance after another. By my count, Connor McDavid in the first half of the game had 3 chances that on any other night were goals. He easily could have gone into the second intermission with a hat trick. And only by the grace of God and Jeremy Swayman and the hockey gourds did he not. Um,
Yeah.
it's too easy to say that the Oilers got goalied tonight because there was lots of other things that were wrong with the Oilers game. But when they did have opportunities, and Boston, man, they are not a good defensive team. And they really count on their goaltender to pick them up on the back end. Well, he did tonight. He was worth the price of admission.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Like, is he just playing out of this world good, or are the Oilers just having terrible puck luck? Like it's a bit of both. they just couldn't get a break, Kurt, like in terms of getting a bounce around the net because they were all over.
Yep.
Like they had all these power play chances, and you'd be tempted to say the power play wasn't that good, but they created a lot on the power play.
They did. And I mean, Connor McDavid had 9 shots tonight. Zach Hyman had 4. Leon Draisaitl had 8.
McDavid, and so he had 9 shots, and Kurt, 8 of Connor McDavid's shots were grade A shots.
No way.
8 in one game.
So that's why we're trying to explain, right? Like, this isn't your classic blowout. It really isn't.
No.
And it may seem like I'm stunting the Oilers by picking Swayman as my good thing, but he was the biggest difference in the game.
Yeah. So Kurt, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this in a game, but my good thing is Connor McDavid. The Oilers had 26 grade A shots. Connor McDavid helped create 19 of them.
Wow.
And I think that's the highest total in all, like we've been doing this 15 years, counting up the grade A shots. I think that's the highest total. I know no one's ever hit 20. He was just all over this game, and he ended up with 1 assist and -1. They were running all over the place on that last goal against, but that was total garbage time.
Yeah.
19 grade A shots he's in on. He was unreal good. He could have easily had 4 or 5 points in a game like that's what he deserved, and he just couldn't get him because Swayman was so solid in net. So, and Hyman was good. He was in there. Draisaitl heated up towards as the game went on. Once they put Roslovic on Draisaitl's line, that line picked up as well.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out, Andrew Mangiapane.
Yeah.
Put him on the second line and he does nothing.
Nothing. So, Kurt, it's a really tough game for the Oilers to lose in that regard. But sometimes you goalie the other team. Calvin Pickard did it against the Jets. They were by far the better team last game.
Agreed.
And tonight, Edmonton was by far the better team, and they got goalied. And as we will see as we advance in this discussion, their own goaltending was not the same as Boston's goaltending. Let's put it that way. Let's move on to bad things. Kurt, what is your bad thing?
My bad thing is the Oilers' goaltending, and I'm not just going to pin it on the Oilers goaltender. There was a decision made before the game even started tonight. And you know what? I would be happy to just pay my $1.50 and give you your coffee now. I would, if I had known that you had colluded with Oilers coaching and management in order to push this one across the finish line, I wouldn't have made the bet in the first place.
You saw my comment today on the blog.
Collusion on the cult of hockey. But I mean, seriously, I meant it when you first brought this up, when you said they should run them like the Stars. Said no, they shouldn't. And here's a good example tonight. So if it's you win, you're in. And we talked about this in the last podcast.
Yes, we did, Kurt.
How could Calvin Pickard possibly play a much better game than he played against Winnipeg? He was the first star. Pretty much everybody agrees he stole the game for the Oilers. So what do you do when you come back home? What do? You start the other guy. Thanks for coming out, Cal. We appreciate those 2 points in Winnipeg. Have a seat in the corner, and we're going to play this guy over here. And you know what? I want Connor Ingram to succeed, but he was bad tonight. 3 of the 6 goals were stoppable goals.
4 of the 6.
Yeah, 3 were bad ones that if he was Stuart Skinner, he'd be run out of town. Oh, wait a minute. We did that already. And so, Ingram just showed that he's not Superman and he hasn't figured everything out yet. I really hope he does. I'm cheering for the guy, for him and for the Oilers' sake. But in the meantime, you've got a backup goaltender who's done nothing but save your bacon for 2.5 seasons now. Maybe not treat him like he's a three-legged dog. And after he makes 41 saves against the Jets, maybe put him out there against Boston and give your cent. Yeah, these 2 points really don't matter anyway. So we'll just continue this experiment over here instead of putting in the goaltender who we think gives us the best chance to win. He said facetiously with, sarcasm dripping off his teeth.
Yeah, if I hadn't made that bet with you, Kurt, I might have actually questioned the decision today because
I'll bet.
Pickard Pickard was fantastic. He did earn this start tonight. And you just, as you were talking about it, I thought, if they had started Calvin Pickard, I bet you they win this game.
Yeah.
But
I guarantee that there's someone knocked on Chris Knobloch's door and said, let's start Ingram tonight. And his initials are
could be
SB.
There is this conspiracy theory that it's Bowman pulling this is like a GM decision, right? Like we got to see what we got with Ingram before Jerry comes back. So that could be what's going on. You'd figure that after that Calvin Pickard, who's apparently, by all accounts loved by his teammates, after a game like that, he's earned another start. I think
Guess not.
In the next game.
A little late for that.
The next game. Is Jerry out for like another month or two? Is what's going on with him? I guess
there's been no official. So as you and I discussed, look, this game aside, Ingram has been good in the other three games. So there's no rush. Let these two guys run it for a little while and let Jerry get properly healthy and come back again. I've seen anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, but I don't know if anybody really knows what they're talking about. So
yeah.
So anyway, that's my bad thing.
Middlestad's goal. I thought that was a high, outside slot, high slot shot. Although that was terrible how the players just let Middlestad. There was 4 guys around Middlestad. Not one of them went to him.
Well, he looked the 1-0. The 1-0 he lost the post, right?
He lost the post.
The 2-0 was he just let it get by him short side. It was a weak goal. 3-1, you can say it's a screen. Yeah, that giant Victor Arvidsson was in front of the net, just like casting a shadow. So you couldn't see a thing. He looked the wrong
way, and that's his fault.
Yeah, exactly. So those the first 3, I thought were bad goals.
And then the fifth
and after the 5-1, I said 4 out of 5 were weak, and the 6-2, that's a slap shot from the circle.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
He's got to have the 5th one too. So no, it was
he does
4 bad goals in one game. Let's hope he saved up all his bad goals. Now he had nights like this apparently in Bakersfield, right? Like we heard reports of pretty rough nights, and he certainly came apart. I thought they might pull him, which was interesting that they didn't. I guess Chris Knobloch would have felt too shamefaced to put Pickard in that.
Yeah, I screwed up, so I'll blame him.
Let's put Pickard and save Connor Ingram. But
here's your coffee, Dave. Have it now. I give.
My bad thing.
Call me De Gaulle. I'm done. I give up.
My bad thing is the first goal against, and Ingram made a mistake on it. He lost his post. It's tough because it's a 5-on-3, and he's trying to be everywhere at once to make saves. So that was a good play by Pasternak to put it in off the goalie. Those are tough plays. But there's a place, Spencer Stastny had the puck. He won the puck, and he had it behind the net on the 5-on-3, and there was about 10 to 15 seconds left. And what he did was make a weak clearing play up the boards, gave it right back to him. And it was a mistake. On a 5-on-3, like if he couldn't get more mustard on that clearing play, if he couldn't really fire it or skate it, hold it, man. It's a 5-on-3. Right? You have the puck he had nobody on him. He could have killed 10 seconds by putting his feet against, the puck against the boards, his skates on either side of that puck. He could have eaten time and not given away the puck on the 5-on-3, and they would have got through that. And I thought, like, he is a solid defensive defenseman. I'm not sold on his attacking play, but this was a mental mistake. And I don't know, like, would a more veteran player have done that, have made that better play? Maybe, maybe not. Like, depends on the player. Like, I have a sense Ekholm would have maybe done that, right? Maybe would have had the composure to think, I'm going to just kill the clock here. Because it's a great play when you do that. And especially, like, it frustrates the hell out of the other team.
Well, that was his second failed clear of that PK too, right?
Yeah. So that was a really critical mistake. because that's the 1-0 goal. And, maybe Boston's destined to win this game anyway, but that didn't help. And I think it unsettled Ingram to let in a goal like that. He certainly was never that settled after that. So,
And it was Ingram's penalty that led to that shorthanded goal as well.
yeah, that wasn't great, was it? So that's why I gave him a 2.
Mental mistake. Yeah. That's what he got. It was a 2. I think that's fair.
I thought it was fair as well. It was.
Yep.
A lot of the top line players got high marks. Like I gave McDavid a 9. Like how he's in on 19 grade A shots. Like
he was tremendous. I mean, that play to Hyman was just ridiculous. Those 2 Bruins are still checking for their jocks. I mean, wow, what a play.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was just a series of incredible dekes at high speed, and what a hockey player.
What a player.
And Jack Michael said this is the best he thinks he's ever seen McDavid, and I agree with that.
Me too.
I don't think I've ever seen him so good. Like this is next level, and it's
Peak
great to
McDavid.
See. Yeah, that's great. I just hope they get their stuff together so it's not wasted, because
Yep.
The window to win a Stanley Cup is short for any team, and it's so much harder now than in the past. Like, when there's 6 teams in the NHL, you should win on average 1 out of 6 years. Now it's like 1 out of 32 years. It's so hard to win the Stanley Cup.
And you've already been there twice, right?
You've been there twice.
Yeah.
And if this team has got major holes, but I don't buy that the Oilers, like some people argue the Oilers should give up on this season, Kurt. I do not buy that at all.
Who thinks that?
I've heard that. Like they're not going to do
those
it. Those
people, I'm sorry, they're just misinformed.
I just think you have these 2 players in their prime. They
You're
can catch
in first place in the Pacific, for God's sake.
If a goalie,
Jesus.
if a goalie catches fire for the Oilers in the playoffs, and if Darnell Nurse catches fire in the playoffs and actually brings his A game, which he can, and plays like a beast instead of a mouse in the playoffs, that's too harsh. But if he brings his A game, this Oilers team can win the cup with McDavid and Draisaitl in their prime. So yeah, let's get it together. Kurt, what is your number?
31. We've dumped all over poor Connor Ingram tonight, so let's give him a break. On the 6-2 goal, he earned the secondary assist, and he becomes the 31st Edmonton Oiler goaltender to register an assist in the regular season in the NHL.
And that was one of the cheapest assists you'll ever get. He just touched the puck to the defenseman and off they went.
What we like to say, no one's going to look back in the score sheet and go, that was a cheap one.
And then it was an outside shot from Roslovic. He's a clever player, though, Roslovic.
Yes, he is.
Listen, Jack Roslovic, they're trying him on the third line. They should probably try him on the third line. He is not a center. He is not a center. He is not a center. He is a scoring winger, and he's a striker. And they need him in the top 6. Draisaitl needs someone as skilled as him to work with. They're going to have to figure it out. And this leads to my number, which is 1. So the Oilers had 26 grade A shots. Only one of them came from a player playing at that time on the 3rd or 4th lines. Max Jones had a tip shot in the first period. Off a Regula outside shot, tip shot. That was the only time. So Mangiapane and Roslovic each had grade A shots, but they both came when they were on Draisaitl's line. Every other shot was by when the first or second line was on the ice. The 3rd and the 4th lines of the Oilers are pathetic, and they've got to address this, Kurt, and they should probably get it on it sooner than later. They're still trying the same old guys. And Adam Henrique, it's October 25th. I was just looking up. That was the last time he scored a goal, Adam Henrique. In that time, he does have 7 assists in the 32 games, but no goals, and he's -9. He has gotten old before our eyes in the last 2 months. He's slowing down. And he's not making he's making small impacts on the PK. And I still think he can be your 4th line center, but Maybe not. Maybe not. And like their third line, who are they going to play on their third line? Matt Savoy is not getting it done. He's not that close. He's not, people are down on Andrew Mangiapane. Matt Savoy hasn't been better than Andrew Mangiapane this year.
Yeah.
They've been
Both Savoy and
similar.
Janmark had bad 5-on-5 games tonight.
Janmark struggling
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
He's still good defensively, but they
I'd
just
argue with you a little bit on the fourth line tonight. I mean, I know natural
Jones was
stat trick
okay.
isn't the be all and the end all, but I mean, Adam Henrique had a CF of 56% and his high dangers were 3-0. And Max Jones had a 78% CF and his high dangers were 3-0. So, the fourth line, I thought the fourth line was okay. I'm totally with you in the third line.
Okay.
Nothing got
I'm
done
speaking
there.
more
So
globally,
bottom
like
six,
overall. But
yeah, and that's fair.
I don't know. I'm just not seeing it with Henrique, mainly on the fourth line. I thought Jones was okay, and Frederick was a bit more physical tonight, but he's not. He's just been. It's just been.
Frederick had 5 hits tonight. So
yeah. So Kurt, anyway. We've gone on about this a number of times in previous podcasts. I have, especially. So we'll leave it at that. Kurt, Team Canada.
mm-hmm.
What's your assessment of their picks? What grade would you give it?
Grade.
Yeah.
In fairness, I'll say an A-. I mean, I think for the most part, they've brought the best players. And look, as it pertains to Edmonton Oilers, obviously Connor McDavid's on the team. The two forwards who had a chance to make it, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman, here's where I'll say that where the Canadians have a major advantage in this tournament is at forward. They are 3 national teams deep at forward. There's all kinds of great players on those top lines. So while I think either Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or Zach Hyman certainly could have made an impact on this team, it's a real crowded room, right? With a lot of quality players. Where the Canadians aren't as good as defense and in goal. Well, in goal, the Oilers had nothing to offer them. But I still maintain that it's a mistake not taking the second highest scoring Canadian defenseman and a guy who has been elite the last 2 Stanley Cup playoffs when competition has been at its absolute peak, and he's not on your team. And I heard John Shannon on Bob Stauffer's radio show today say, well, Team Canada wants their defenders to be able to defend. And I thought that was a bit of an obtuse answer from John Shannon, frankly. You've got all these high-end forwards. Don't you want defensemen who can get the puck to them?
It's this narrative about Bouchard is just BS. It's utter BS, and John Shannon should be ashamed for buying into it.
Yeah.
He struggles early in the year. He's had a couple of years, but come on, look at his play in the playoffs. He's been outstanding. This is just madness to not have him on the team. And it's also madness not to have Zach Hyman, frankly. You have a player who fits in so well with Connor McDavid. You went through the Four Nations tournament not finding one player. I think Mark Stone actually established some chemistry maybe in the last game or two with McDavid. But they really struggled to find someone who can play with him. And you have Zach Hyman at the peak of his game, the best forechecker in the playoffs in the NHL last playoffs, and you don't pick him.
He has 10 goals in 11 games.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fail them because this team is good enough to win, right?
Yeah.
It's still Team Canada, but C-. And they should have...
C-. Wow.
C-. Colton, okay. There's no defending some of these decisions, I don't think. Colton Parayko, one of the narratives I've heard is, well, they won the Four Nations tournament, so they wanted to go with the same defense. Colton Parayko got eaten alive in that tournament. He couldn't move the puck, and he leaked grade A shots against. And Team Canada came within 2 or 3 miracle saves by Binnington of losing that tournament. They were barely good enough, and they needed to make some changes, and they didn't. They just don't. You need to have better puck movers on your blue line. If Shea Theodore gets hurt again, Jacob Chikrin should have been on this team, and Evan Bouchard should have been on this team. Both of those guys are crushing it right now. And even if they're only your 7 and 8 D-men, if you're having trouble moving the puck early on, you bring those two guys in. And I just don't buy this. All of these narratives, they're just, look at the numbers with Bouchard. He is an outstanding hockey player, and he's killed it in the playoffs 2 years in a row. And people always say, well, this guy isn't very good because he didn't perform in the playoffs. He didn't raise his game. Well, what Bouchard two years running has raised his game to the very top of defensive play in the playoffs, and you don't take him.
Yeah,
it's just
both years when the Oilers had those runs, and we were discussing
picked Binnington and Parayko. They're his hometown guys. They shouldn't be on this team. Binnington was as good as Binnington was in the overtime. He was not very good earlier in that series. I don't mind him as the third goalie, perhaps, but he's such a big personality. He's probably got to be the starter. And John Cooper picked Cirelli, who's got 22 points in 35 games, and he picked. Well, Hagel's a really good player. I'm not complaining about Hagel, but why not Hyman instead of Cirelli? Like, if you're looking for who are you going to take off the team? Well, okay, I'll take Anthony Cirelli off the team every day of every week of every year for Zach Hyman, because Anthony Cirelli can't play with Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman can. And they can get people. There's lots of guys who can kill penalties. I'm sure they could find other players. So I'm steamed about it, Kurt. I just think there was. And Tom Harley is a good player. He played well in the Four Nations, but he's been injured this year and isn't playing that well. So
it's true.
So now you're making a big bet on him because, well, we just want to go with the same guys who won it last time. That is just the worst reasoning. Teams need new players. Teams need to change. They need to evolve, and you need to pick the best players. And this line that people are repeating in the NHL, the small village of NHL people, is a nitwit line, and I'm tired of hearing it. So
yeah, no, look, that's fair, and I do think that the management of this team is guilty of reading its own press clippings, for sure. I think they've got a pretty selective memory about the Four Nations Cup. It's that I agree with you there.
They just barely beat the Americans. The greatest shots were equal in those games. There is nothing to separate these two teams right now. So you've got to get every advantage, and they didn't.
Well, as I've already told you my take on the forward. There is a wealth of talent up there, and so yes, I personally would have had Zach Hyman on the team, but I might have put Scheifele on this team too. Like, why is he not on this team? So my point on forward is there's lots of great choices. So I think you can pick on the few coaches' favorites that did end up on this team. On defense, Parayko, I'm with you. He certainly didn't blow me away in the Four Nations, and it feels like a loyalty pick to me. Some people are complaining about Drew Doughty. Yeah, you know what? Drew Doughty's a champion and a winner, and will do everything that it takes to win. And I've got a lot of time for him, but I think you can only have like one of those players on your blue line. So if it's both him and Parayko that are there because they're good soldiers, I do think that's a mistake.
If in their starting six they go with Doughty and Parayko, they're going to struggle. Because both of those players at this point are kind of slow, and this hockey's going to be super fast. Now, Doughty thinks fast.
He does.
And Parayko has been a good player, clearly a really good player in the past, but he just seems to be he's trending down, and he's not having a good year. And he was easily he struggled the most by far of any Team Canada player in the Four Nations.
Yeah, I took quite a beating on social media today about the whole Evan Bouchard thing, and the most common response I got was, "We've got Makar. It's a duplication of talents." So look at the last two Stanley Cup playoffs and ask yourself, who was the best defenseman in those two playoffs? It wasn't Cale Makar. I think Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the National Hockey League, so don't come at me. But in what world would it be bad to have Evan Bouchard and Cale Makar on the same team? And you can attest to this, Dave. I've said this all along. I'm fine if Bouchard is your 7-8. If
Yeah.
he's on the club, so if Makar or somebody else gets hurt, then you can put him in. I'm okay with that. If he's not in the top six, I'm not that particular. But to just not have him there, given what he produces, is, they say pick the best players, Dave. Well, by not taking Evan Bouchard, they haven't brought the best players. So we'll see. I certainly want Canada to win, whether Evan Bouchard's there or not. I'm cheering for them, not against them. We can debate how all these picks went when the Olympics is over.
And again, I'm rooting for all of these players. I'm rooting for Colton Parayko. Like, I hope he
me
really
too.
plays solid hockey and gets the job done and proves me wrong. And same with Anthony Cirelli, who is a good player. And Braden Point, Point was picked initially from the first group, and he's having a really strange year. He's only got 22 points in 32 games. He's -4. He's been a good player though, and he's only 29. But he wouldn't, if you're picking on merit right now, based on this season. Now maybe he's good enough that you would pick him based on his career, but he's not been playing that well this year either. So.
Well, it's almost like they picked this roster thinking that somehow momentum would spill over from the Four Nations Cup into the Olympics. Well, there's not a chance, snowball's chance in hell that that's going to be a factor. I mean, it was a short series a year ago. It's like
there wasn't a lot of chemistry too. Who did Braden Point have chemistry with? Anyone in that tournament?
As you said, they spent the whole tournament trying to find someone for McDavid to play with. So yeah,
and they tried Point. Let me just see Braden Point how he did in that tournament, because I kept the grade A shots. So he was okay in that tournament, but not. He was like their. I don't know. Like, the forwards who really did well were McDavid and Mark Stone and Nathan McKinnon. Hagel did well. Sam Bennett did well.
Well, and I was going to mention Sam Bennett. Like, how are you the MVP of the Stanley Cup playoffs and you don't get picked to represent your country in the Olympics? And I'm not the president of his fan club, but man, if he's on my team, I'm sure happy.
That's a tough one, because Tom Wilson really is playing well. Like, he's just playing incredible hockey. So that is more of a tough call. But again, yeah, like, how can you not have Sam Bennett on your team?
So here's one on the Tom Wilson thing, because I get the Tom Wilson pick as well. But everybody keeps coming at me, well, short series, one turnover by Bouchard and you lose the series. That's a pretty common, ridiculous, but pretty common thread out there. Well, if you think about it, the same thing can apply to this guy. One bad penalty, one dumb penalty by Tom Wilson, and you can lose the tournament. And he's prone to that, right? And he's prone to that. A turnover is bad, but it's done in the commission of an offensive play. Right? It's creativity, right? So don't tell me that you took the lineup with no risk, because there's risk all the way through this lineup. And so if being risk adverse is why Evan Bouchard isn't on that lineup, well then why is Tom Wilson there? Why is Biddington there? Like, I don't know.
Well, I guess if Harley, Doughty, Theodore are all healthy, Morrissey, I think if they've all been banged up, Morrissey, if these guys are all healthy, then this, could still be a really good defense. They've got some really good hockey players here. Mm-hmm. And Cale Makar, he wasn't healthy in the Four Nations.
No, he wasn't.
That was a big impediment to Team Canada. If he's healthy and Taves are healthy, you got your top pairing. And then if Harley and Theodore are healthy, you've got a good, probably second pairing.
Well, Harley wasn't even playing to start with, right?
Yeah, and I hope
he came in after an injury.
Yeah, if they're not, maybe they'll still call in Bouchard. Maybe they'll still call in Hyman. You never know, or Scheifele.
Well, and there can be another injury or two between now and then, so you don't know, right? So
we'll see what happens. And Sanheim, I don't really know what to think about Sanheim. He was okay in that tournament, but I don't know his game well enough to comment. All right, Kurt. let's leave it there. Happy New Year, and thanks
Happy
for
New
being
Year.
on the podcast tonight.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. And Happy New Year to the Cult of Hockey faithful, the smartest, wisest, sanest hockey fans in the world. And in the meantime, and in between time, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.